Feminist film theory is a theoretical criticism occurring from feminist politics and theory, analyzing the representation of women in cinema. In this video essay, I will analyze using feminist film theory with emphasis on psychoanalysis the 1995 film A View to a Kill, directed by John Glenn, which tells an action spy story of a famous James Bond, played by Roger Moore. The film starts with an intense scene of escaping from Siberian officers, after which James Bond successfully shakes off the pursuit and gets in the water transport, where he meets with his co-agent. James Bond contributes to her falling on the newly made bed, showing his assertive actions toward her and dominance. One of the main points of feminist film theory through psychoanalysis is the representation of women as spectacle. Often women are shown as showgirls who are inherently subjected to being looked at. In this scene, a woman is performing on stage. James Bond is not looking at her, but she performs for the rest of the audience, as well as for the viewers who throw the male gaze on her. Here Bond is watching Stacey Sutton, played by Tanya Roberts, who is one of the main characters in the film. She is standing behind a window that disturbs from seeing her clearly due to the sun reflection. For this case, Bond, as an exemplary spectator, prepared a pair of opera glasses. The film is about spies, so the task of watching people is justified by the profession. The colleague of James Bond, Godfrey Tibbett, becomes a voyeurist. He's tracking an antagonist ally, though the camera, used in a POV shot, moves to the front window showing another woman. Besides, the film contains shots of close-watch fragments of women, reinforcing the fetishistic concept of theory. In this scene, where antagonist of the film Max Zorin and his ally Mayday, played by Grace Jones, are training, the latter is shown in an overly exposed suit. Being absolutely of no use for this engagement, the suit reveals her, as it would be called in psychoanalysis, her castrated body. The fight session allows Zorin to investigate her body. Understanding her lack, he throws back to his trauma of the castration complex. By the end of the scene, he covers her in a dominant position, after which he kisses her by force. This action can be seen as a punishment, counterbalance for his anxiety, and a sadistic way of escaping it. She's won. An intelligence operative, Paula Ivanova, meeting with James Bond, reveals to him that her previous mission implied his seduction.
In my dressing room later. Did you know I was an agent with orders to seduce you?
The fragment demonstrates an undervaluing and sexual exploitation of women in such a job, limiting her to sex-based service. The day James Bond and Stacey Sutton met ends with a scene where Bond covers her with a blanket. The scene seems unnecessary. One can say it might be a scene as a demonstration of the agent's kindness and his indifference, forthcoming feelings for her, although Stacey is shot in a way of displaying her in a certain way. She lays in the bed with mostly uncovered body parts, submissive and helpless. The moment where she runs to Bond with complaints about her being fired is also questionable. She knows him for a couple of days.
He fired me.
Calm down.
In an episode where James and Stacey unexpectedly encounter Zorin, these three start an argument. When finally Stacey wants to put her words into the hassle, being a major victim of Zora's affairs and having a personal enmity with him, Bond interrupts her.
You can take your offer.
Don't
and
bother,
shove-
Stacey. He's a psychopath.
He says he's a psychopath to her attempt on telling him to go pound sand, denoting the pointlessness and stupidity of such an action of hers. Here you see James Bond rescuing Stacey. It relates to the point on men's response to the castration complex. Let me rewind a bit back. By the theory of a castration complex in women, girls suspect they were deprived of penis in early age and start envying men, mostly fathers, over the sexual difference. Penis in psychoanalysis is symbolically associated with power. Male, active, dominance, female, passive, submission. It would be correct to say that money equals power. Her father owned a large share of wealth and land that was supposed to be passed on to her as an inheritance, but Stacey was robbed. Previously, she shared her story to Bond by which she revealed her lack of power. At the beginning, she appeared as a wealthy person, showing up at a special event for riches. Now, after disclosing her story, Bond sees her as lacking, imperfect, not a man. It evokes the very anxiety, resolution for which leads him to rescue Stacey. In the film, there are several female characters appearing in the story. Many of them are shown as strong, but the film is not devoid of male gaze.